Hi, welcome back to Elements in Focus. I'm Aaron Rheaume, Director of Financial Planning here at the Financial Enhancement Group. As always, I've got Grant Sullivan, the manager of our advisor operations team. Grant, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well, Aaron. I appreciate you asking. Aaron, we're talking about trusts and legacy, and I got Mr. Pig over here ready to help us discuss this topic. So we're all in good shape.
That's awesome. As Grant mentioned, we are covering the fifth critical element, legacy planning. And so we are going to be talking trusts today, specifically testamentary trust. Had to make sure I said that correctly. Are we talking Old Testament or New Testament trust here today, Grant?
We'll unpack that when we get.
All right. Sorry, that just Testament came out and just went biblical there. So, what do we want our families and listeners to know about testamentary trusts?
Well, Aaron, sticking with that biblical theme, right? These are trusts that are essentially created from a will, right? And
Okay.
so, just like in the Old Testament was the law before the Savior, we can look at that from the trust perspective. But essentially, what a testamentary trust does, Aaron, is that you essentially in your will state, this is what I want to have happen. I want to have a trust created under these parameters. And then essentially, if you pass, then your will is read, your estate's put into probate, and bam, a trust is created and everything flows in from probate into your estate. Now, I've been using, oh my goodness, my camera. Sorry, folks. If you've noticed, I used very specific language. Most people will create a testamentary trust thinking they will escape probate. Unfortunately, folks, that is not the case. Your estate will still have to go through probate to enter the trust. I sat with a family the other day that had no idea. They said, yeah, we have a trust, our estate's protected, we're totally fine. And once we got the estate documents, I had to be the bearer of bad news and tell them, you don't have a trust. You have a will that creates a trust, and here's what's going to happen. And so they thought they had a living will and that their wishes were taken care of. And they put a lot of work into this document, only to find out that it actually wasn't a true trust. It was a testamentary trust. And so we've fortunately got them back with an attorney that works with our team, and they're getting their stuff corrected and underway, which is good. But folks, a testamentary trust can be a very powerful tool for your legacy plan. They're simple, they're more cost effective than a traditional grantor trust or living trust would be. But again, you've just got to remember they do have certain limitations because your assets and your property have to go through probate before they get into that trust. So if you think you're escaping probate, unfortunately, you're not.
Thank you for that. Let's elaborate just a little bit more on two things, right? So you've mentioned probate. Can you explain what that is? And then outside of a trust, are there things that you can do to avoid probate? And then last, and I'll circle back if you don't remember, what are some basic documents that you want to have in place if you don't have a trust?
All three good questions, Aaron. So we'll start from the beginning. And what was the first question? I'm remembering the last two now.
What is probate?
Gotcha. So probate, thank you for clarifying here. Probate essentially is an estate process that all your property assets have to go through in order to be dispersed to your heirs, to the people that you desire them to go. Not all states have a built-in process where they create a will or an estate document for you. In the state that Aaron and I are recording from, in Indiana, the state of Indiana does. So if you were to pass away without a proper estate document, the state would take over and do its best to distribute property to your heirs. Now it sounds, oh, that's simple enough, Aaron. That's no problem. I've have everything go through my estate or through probate. It's totally fine. We'll let the state take care of it. Unfortunately, folks, that comes at a cost. Probate's not a cheap process, nor is it a short one. So if you're going to try and save yourself, or more importantly, your family who's left behind trying to deal with your estate, the headache that probate can potentially cause, then you can do some of the things that Aaron brought up in question 2, which is what are some of the things you can do? Well, naturally, you can create a trust to handle some of the assets and property for your estate, because then at that point, everything jumps and skips probate. And now your successor trustee, that's the person taking over the trust on your behalf when you pass, can manage the estate through the wishes you've outlined in the document. If you want to go far simpler, beneficiary designations do the same thing, but there's a lot less paperwork. So, for example, I have a retirement account and I have a non-retirement account. If I pass away, that goes to my spouse, skips probate because it's marital property. And then if she were to pass away, our contingent beneficiaries would then receive the money. All that would happen is an advisor would call my family, say, hey, listen, Kim and Grant are gone. You were a beneficiary on these assets, and it skips the probate process. So when you're looking at those types of assets that can do that, your bank accounts, your investment accounts, property, so your house, real estate that can be designated away for transfer on death, just remember all of that. Then Aaron, your last question, which was
basic documents.
Basic documents. Thank you, brother. So basic documentation you want to have is going to depend on the state you live in, right? So every estate plan is different per the state that you live in. There's no federal plan, but states control that process. And most of the time, most states you'll want to have a basic will. You'll want to have, depending on your situation, medical power of attorney, durable powers of attorney. If you have young kids, make sure you have it clearly outlined who's taking care of the kids and what assets are going to take care of the kids. And then again, if your situation requires a trust, would definitely be helpful as well.
Thank you, Grant. And sorry we went a little bit more in depth there. I just thought it was a timely conversation when you were discussing trusts and probate. And so if you have more questions and want to make sure that you have a solid estate plan in place or want to make sure things are reviewed, please reach out to us at 800-928-4001. You can go to yourlifeafterwork.com. If you have questions, go to talktofeg@yourlifeafterwork.com. If you want to dig deeper into our content, you can search our website. We've got articles. We have podcasts out there. We also do radio show content. So if you see any of those listed on the screen, WIBC to WILO, check out our show times. You can, again, pick us up on those podcasts that are listed there. We're more than happy to help answer questions and make sure that you are on path to reaching your financial journey. So as always, it's a pleasure being able to do this with you, Grant. Thank you for all that's listening and watching. We really appreciate it. Have a great day.